What's up, everybody? I'm former quarterback Malik, and if football, sports interviews, and having a good time interests you, then make sure to click the like and subscribe button as it really does help support this channel, and it also makes sure that you guys never miss a new video. How's everyone doing? And welcome back to the episode of Malik Rozier's show. And I'm super excited for this episode just because this one's going to have to do a lot to do with Miami. As obviously today was ACC Media Day. So obviously we had, Coach Mario, TVD, Matt Lee, and Cameron Kitchens all talk. I'm more going to say on the offense for today. Obviously, I heard a lot of guys says, but, at least for me, I'm a quarterback. So I'm very, interested in how the offense is going to function this year. So before we get to Miami football, we're going to talk about a little bit of college sports that's not particularly Miami. And the first one is, who should be Northwestern's new head coach? I'm guessing they're probably going to do an interim head coach as, the season's almost here. It'll be really hard, to bring in a new head coach, ask him to bring in his new staff. So I can really see, them going after an interim head coach for this year, but I really think they should go after either Coach O, maybe even an ex-NFL head coach, maybe even like a position coach that's in the NFL that, once particularly could want a college head coaching job. But I think for them, they need to make a bang with whoever they get for their head coach, just because with the allegations coming out, if you don't have a good head coach, it could really tank this program. I'll be honest with you, not really a good football program on top of that. And now you have all these crazy, hazing allegations and just craziness that's going on at Northwestern. So I think for them to, really salvage, they're going to have to bring a big check out. They're going to have to, clear up a lot of their names in a lot of ways. And they're also going to have to hire a really, really good head coach that can bring a lot of hype to, a lot of the high school recruits, because it's going to be very hard for them to convince, parents, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa that, they're going to do the best they can to supervise to make sure this doesn't happen unless there's a coach that has a proven track record of, not allowing things like this to happen in his locker room. So next, we're going to go over, is UConn going to go to the Big 12? I personally think this one could be super interesting, with the fact that, they used to be good at basketball. So they do have a track record of winning there. Obviously the football team has taken the tank, but I think, we're going into the Big 12. They'll have a little more money. They can upgrade their facilities. There is some good football. I don't necessarily say in UConn, but obviously, we got TVD from there. So there is some good football in UConn, but especially the areas around there. So I think if they can do a good job of recruiting some, maybe they can slowly start climbing the ladder where they're somewhere in the middle in the Big 12. But I don't particularly see them winning, at least in football in the Big 12, more of a basketball school that I think that over time with the money and different things like that from the Big 12, that this program will be able to grow. And I think in about 10 or 15 years, maybe they do, win one or two, Big 12, just depending on how they recruit and, if they change their coaching staff, especially on the football side. So now we're getting to Miami football, and we're going to talk about Mario when he was on the Joe Rose show. And to me, I thought this one was very, very interesting. He talked about, how do you deal with the noise? Obviously a lot of people had a lot of high expectations for us, and, things didn't go the way we wanted to last year. So how do you bounce back? What do you do? How do you deal with people that are positive, negative, and kind of indifferent? And the first thing you talked about was just blocking out the noise. That's a lot of stuff that everyone talks about. But really, I like his second point. If you hear it, work harder. And basically what he's saying is that you should literally be consumed with your position, your studying. I mean, even for these kids, even schoolwork nowadays, you have so much going on now that, like, if you're on social media obsessed with what people are saying about you, you're not working hard enough. The 30, 40, 50 minutes that you're sitting on social media, pissed off, mad, looking at, what other people are saying about you, go in the weight room, go study some film, go do something that's going to help you be productive. A lot of people allow negativity of others to influence their lives instead of saying, hey, most of the time, the reason why people are hating is because they want to be in my position and they can't be. Okay, so that's the biggest thing I'll say to any young athletes that has to deal with people that are hating most of the time. And I'll tell you that I don't really hate on people, to be honest with you. Like, I have no reason to. I'm most of the time, someone's a hater, they're below you looking up, or there's someone that wants to be in your shoes. And that's why, they're so affected by what you do. I'm never going to personally or deliberately try to belittle a player because I know what it's like to have adversity. I know what it's like to have a good game or a bad game, or kind of be in the middle of the pack. So to me, I guess once you understand kind of people deal with, it's very hard for you to hate or be super critical towards them because you understand mentally what they're going through. So to me, I think that's really big because I do think social media is growing, especially we talk about NIL and these kids having to be on social media and having to do social media posts. How do they not allow, whether it's our fans, Miami fans, because we're bad sometimes, whether it's other people's fans, Florida State, Texas A&M, hopefully in the future we'll start playing in the playoffs. So then we're playing other playoff teams. Like, how do you make it to where, those annoying fans, you don't reach someone that pisses you off or affects you mentally, kind of get you sidetracked. A couple of things that I would do is, definitely filter who can mention me. So I know there's ways on social media to say, hey, only people that I follow are allowed to mention me. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Obviously let your page be able to where people can view it. But I think for your social media, for like notification things that you can see, it's only people that just so that, no outside influence can personally come into your social media. And next, one thing I really like that Mario talked about was not only having recruiters, because, to me, I think the school with the best recruiters, and it's obviously it speaks for itself, is Georgia. But also what they have is good developers. So it's really, really good, to get the 5 stars, get the 4 stars, get the high ranked guys, number 1, number 2 in their position. But now you got to develop them, because some of these guys are super talented, but they're super raw, whether they don't know a lot about, football, because obviously, high school to college, everything changes, a lot of coverages, a lot of fronts. You really got to know the details and the intricacies, of your position to understand how to be successful, because just because you're 6'2", 6'3", and run a 4.4, there's going to be guys across from you that are the same size that run the same speed. So it's like, how do you set yourself apart? And to me, I think that's where the developer side, obviously the recruiter side gets them there. The developer side keeps them as a superb and elite athlete on the football field. So, I really like the dynamic that Mario's trying to go with. For me, if I had to lean more, I would pick a better recruiter than a developer. Hear me out. This is the reason why. If I can recruit a whole bunch of 6'8", 300-pound offensive linemen that can run fast and move big and that are mean and that, pile drive you, I promise you I can teach them. What sucks is if I get a whole bunch of 5'11", short, stumpy, hard workers, and now I'm trying to develop them. So obviously there's a fine line, especially position by position. But I will say, for me, I'd rather be a better recruiter than a better developer, because to me with development, that's more, the coach studying, the coach being able, to really teach these guys like the small points of the game. For me, recruiting is being a likable person, is having these kids, these families, them actually trusting you to take their kid's future and put it into your hands. So to me, I'm more of a people person. So I believe that if you can create elite bonds with people and have kids believe in you and what you're doing, you can have kids, successfully go through your program. So next, we're going to talk about, what Mario talked about on the ACC network. And one, I would say I love to see, Mario and Rick together. Obviously, both of those guys bleed orange and green. Obviously, Rick did a huge donation for the indoor, and obviously Mario's there, has a super long-term contract. You hear him all the time, how much he loves Miami, how he's going to get it back. So, just really cool to see those two, head coaches together. Obviously, both those guys have been in Miami when Miami is successful. So when they talk about, getting Miami back to the way it was, I think both of them kind of understand, what was that Miami picture. So I just love to see that, and I really love what, Mario talked about why he brought these guys, to the ACC network. He talked about, holding people accountable. I think that one's probably the biggest out of all of this, because you can trust an individual. That was the first thing about trusting. When I close my eyes, when I wake up, are they going to do the right thing? Being an elite performer, when you're out there, are you making plays? Are you doing the right stuff? Strong voice, someone that when he speaks, the room hears him. But for me, it's holding people accountable, because at the end of the day, this is a team sport. And on offense, we know this. If one guy makes a mistake, it usually busts the entire play. So if you're thinking about a run to the right and the right guard misses his job just because all other 10 guys did it, that play's probably going to be busted or maybe a tackle for loss. So that to me was really the biggest one, is, holding your teammates accountable, because a lot of times there's going to be someone that, is having a bad day or is pissed off or just isn't hearing it. And you're going to have to say, hey, man, do your job or get the hell out of my practice. And a lot of times that can cause tension. A lot of these guys, they love their brothers. They work with their brothers. They don't want to create that unwanted tension. But also at the end of the day, like, if you have a standard, like if he's really your brother and you guys have the same goals, he's going to understand what you're saying and why you're saying it. To me, I think that's the biggest part, is having people believe in you and saying, hey, even though I'm yelling at you, even though, I might be, getting on to you, it's not that I think you're a bad player, a bad person, anything like that. It's like, I know your potential. I see what you got going on, and who you can be. And to me, I think it would be a letdown if I allowed you to play this way or practice this way, just because I know you can get better. And if you can't get better, if you tell me this is all you got, then why the hell are you here? Because that isn't good enough. And that was a lot of ways, at least I try to handle some of the conversations, was telling these guys, hey, man, it's not that, I'm on your bat. It's not that I'm on your ass because I don't like you or that, I'm trying to pick you out. It's because, I generally see the plays that you can make. And if you can make that on a consistent basis, you can help this team. So to me, I think that's a lot of stuff that's happened now is you're having guys that not only believe in themselves, but are able, to believe themselves enough to hold other people accountable and saying, hey, man, yeah, I know you're out here doing this running, but so am I. I know you're out here, lifting this much weight, but so am I. I know you're out here doing the extra stuff, but so am I. When you have a guy that says, hey, man, I'm doing it with you, I'm right here with you, it sucks for me too, but, I want to make it to the ACC championship. I want to make it to the Final Four. To me, that's when you start pulling people along and people slowly over time, because you have a couple of leaders that hold people accountable. Over time, people will start holding themselves accountable. But it starts with, having 2 or 3 people, especially for young guys or, that super athletic guy that's like, I've always been, better than everybody. I don't really need to work. To me, those are the guys that you definitely got to hold accountable. So next, we're going to get into TVD. Obviously, I love this guy. I think that this guy is going to have a great, great year. I love the offense that he's in. I think it definitely fits him. And, I think he definitely learned from adversity, learning to play injured. I think that's one that a lot of people don't understand is that, if you talk to myself, Brad Kaya, Stephen Morris, I bet you if you talk to, De'Aaron King, there were some games where you're going to be nicked up. You're going to be bruised. You're going to be hurt. It is a very, very, very long season. And people, especially defensive linemen, will do anything they can to get the quarterback out. I think there's a lot of stuff you hear him talk about, I was injured and I was playing through it and it hurt. And, every injury is different. Some more, a little more extreme than the others. Obviously, I think his injury, definitely limited him in a lot of ways. But I think he's understanding mentally, how tough he has to be. Not only saying, hey, if I get hit, do I get up? Hey, my rib hurts or my arm hurts, or, maybe you have a bruise on your calf, or, I'll be honest with you guys, there was one time in high school where I don't know if it's the tibula or the fibula, whatever the small bone is. Mine was snapped in half and I played 5 games through it and we didn't realize it, until the doctor came back. So there definitely will be times whenever, you played hurt.
We would take a quick break to thank our sponsors, DGen Sports. DGen Sports is an exciting NFT project that combines real-world sports and NFT culture. Behind an experienced leadership team, the project just launched their 3rd season and offers free-to-play sports prediction prizes every month. They gave away a $250 NFT for the Masters alone. Follow them on Twitter at DGenSportsIO.
And, he just played last year through a lot of injuries. And I think that this year, the fact that he's healthy, the fact that, I don't think he's going to have any like physical adversities. Obviously, there'll be games where he's a little bruised up and nicked up and he'll get hit. But hopefully there's nothing to where, he has like an AC joint or something like that he's playing the entire season through. So I think obviously no one wants anyone to get hurt to learn the lesson. But I think Tyler understands, what it's like to go through a complete 12-season football game as a starter. And, from here, it's only going to get worse. You got this year, and then if you make from this year, you go to the NFL, the guys want to get bigger, faster, and stronger. So, to me, I think Tyler's understanding a lot of that side of the game, which honestly takes a while to understand because a lot of people think, oh, you're the quarterback or you don't get hit. But you do get hit, and most of the time when you get hit, it's an exposure hit where, like, you're either throwing or you're helpless in the pocket, you're not moving, you're just standing there, and someone is running at you full speed and just plows into you. And so I think that's stuff that, when you hear Tyler talking about, making guys miss, escaping the pocket, moving really quick, a lot of that is because, sometimes you're not going to be able to hold or get, a clean one-on-one block. The good quarterbacks necessarily aren't the fastest where they can just like run out the pocket like Lamar, but they're able to make that first guy miss. You know what I mean? If that defensive lineman or linebacker, comes to the hole and maybe, the running back misses, can you slide to the left or to the right just so that linebacker, runs right past you? To me, I think that's a lot of stuff that Tyler's understanding as well, saying, hey, if I stay active, I keep my feet hot and I'm kind of moving around, it definitely helps people. So definitely excited to hear a lot of the points that Tyler talked about. One of my favorite was, the freedom in the plays. To me, I think that's going to be really big, especially when you're talking about Tyler is a super cerebral guy. So he's someone that understands what he sees. He's someone that understands football. He's been in a lot of offense. He's seen a lot of coverages. So to me, when you have a guy like this, you're able to give him the flexibility to check out of, different plays. I definitely think they'll have staple plays where, hey, it's 12 personnel. It's 3rd and 3. We're running the ball. Unless they go cover 0, if they go cover 1, we still want to run, and we like our numbers, we like our guys. But at the end of the day, if you're going 2-by-2, and let's say you're going inside zone with all blocks, and they go into cover 1, and they have a stacked box with a safety at 10 yards, why not call it inside fade? Why not call a quick rub route? Why not call a slant flat where you hit, Tyler Harrell or Jacoby Young on a slant route and maybe his forehead hits the goalpost. So, to me, I definitely like that ability for Tyler to have the game in his hands. mainly because if we lose, I'd rather lose it because of the players and saying, hey, man, the coach should have called this or the coach should have done that. Now that we know that Tyler has the freedom, I think obviously they'll keep him kind of in a sandbox, but they'll allow him to draw kind of, hey, these are what you can play with. These are your toys. These are, your checks. But they're going to keep him kind of inside of a play box or like a little sandbox and let him just, go crazy. To me, I think if you're a really good quarterback and someone that, likes to control the game, this is definitely the kind of offense that you want to play in. So next, one thing he talked about was explosive plays, which we obviously know when TVD was with Lashley, the plays were explosive. He was throwing the ball all over the field. I definitely see explosive plays, but I think they're going to be a little different. I definitely see us throwing, more verticals than we did last year, us throwing a lot of posts. I don't know if we'll throw as many as we did with Lashley, but I can see, a little bit more RPOs, a little bit more quick game, a little more, hey, we're getting the ball in and out your hands fast. I think a lot of our, vertical shots might be the inside fades, just because on inside fades, you can go 1, 2, 3, ball out real quick. And it takes about 2.5 seconds. So to me, I think there's going to be some creative ways where like Tyler's getting the ball out his hands fast, but it's technically not going to be, a 3 with a hitch. And then you need like 5 or 6 seconds for these double moves and things to develop. And lastly, I love the chemistry with the receivers. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. I love it. I think that's something that, Tyler should definitely set a standard of, because, this is something that should trickle into next year. And it's something that they should always keep going. But I love the fact that he has the guys out there. My biggest thing to him would be making sure that, maybe even get some offensive linemen out there, maybe even get some defensive backs out there, start making it to where, the whole team starts to come up. Obviously, the summer's about to end, and obviously he's the quarterback, so his main job is to focus on the offense, but at the end of the day, it's about the whole team, and this is me just nitpicking. But, I love the fact that he's taking initiative. I love the fact that, he's trying to make it to where, he can do as much as he can with the guys around him. I think this year, a lot of the guys are all buying into, Mario, TVD, and even Coach Dawson. You talk to a lot of the guys, they seem super happy. They seem to love the offense, and I know every year everyone comes in, oh, like this is a really cool offense. But when you actually hear, a lot of stuff that they're doing and the ways that they're coaching, you can definitely tell that they're doing it in the right way. So next, we're going to go over my top receivers in order for Miami this year. I think number 1 is going to be Tyler Harrell. This guy's fast. He's explosive. He is like our Tyreek Hill. I think, even if he doesn't get the ball every play, he's going to affect the defense in some way, shape, form, or fashion when he's on the field. So I think that, maybe he doesn't have as many catches as Xavier, but I think the effect that he has on the defense will be just as powerful. Number 2, X. I think X is going to be our third down factor. I think he'll probably possibly be a red zone factor if number 3, Kobe Young doesn't come along. But obviously we know Xavier and, TVD's connection. So I think that, it's going to be kind of like mine and Braxton Berrios, where it's like, hey, I'm in trouble. Where's my guy? Find them. Cool. Let's keep the drive going. Number 3, Kobe Young. I think this guy could jump to number 1, especially if he can do a really, really good job in the red zone. He's big. He looks like he's starting to understand how to control his bodies in all aspects, whether it's, feet in the ground or whether it's going up vertically, playing big. So I do expect big things from Kobe Young this year. I got Jacoby George. I've heard a lot of things about him from fans, from different people. And obviously, TVD mentioned him. Coach Cristobal mentioned him. So, I think this guy's going to have a really, really big year. So I am excited to see him play. B. Smith, obviously he'll play a little bit behind, Xavier. And I think also with the fact that we have good tight ends, we're probably going to run a little more 12 than 10 personnel. It's kind of why I have him here. But I think, he'll be someone that comes in and definitely makes some plays. Hopefully they have like a couple packages with him, maybe like, speed sweeps and, little bubbles and, little like flat routes where it's like we used to call them line. We'd motion Stacey Coley, quick play action pass. And all it was to get a little flash attention. And, Stacey Coley was 1 yard behind the line, and we would throw it to him. So, maybe find creative ways to get Brashard the ball, because I think this guy can make plays. And the last one is Frank Ladson. I really have high hopes for this guy. I think this can be a guy that if we can go 12 in the red zone and have the 2 big tight end bodies and have Young and Ladson out there, to me, I think the size matters. I think it will really, really scare a lot of teams, especially if you go 2-by-2 spread. Tight ends on the outside, Ladson and Young on the inside. Now what most teams are going to do is they're going to go to a 2 high, and now you make the box soft. Now you get an easy run game in the box. A lot of times you don't want to put corners on tight ends. It's just a mismatch. So I think there could be some ways, especially if we can get all 6 of these guys really playing good. And to me, it's not really about having one guy doing everything, but it's about everyone understanding their role and saying, hey, what am I good at and how can I do it to the best of my ability? I think from that point, they'll be able to really, really help and really help each other. It's not even about helping themselves. If you're able to do your job, most time you open something up for someone, they do their job, make the catch and get yards after the catch. And usually what happens is you come open the next time they see the play because they're too scared of someone catching the ball underneath you or something like that. So think there could be huge opportunity for this receiver staff or receiver crew. Next, we're talking about Messi owns Miami. He definitely does. The fact that Mario is even talking about NIL with Messi just tells you how much of an impact he has, because Mario really does not listen to anything. And the fact that, he knows that Messi is there just tells you how big the guy is. I really, really hope that I get to go to a game. I have to go to a game at some point. I know the tickets are like $450, $500. But to me, to see Messi, shout out to Brad Kai. You're the one that got me into soccer. Originally I was a Ronaldo fan. He was a Messi fan. So to me, I think it'd be really, really cool, the fact that he's in the 305 and, I'm down there all the time. So if anyone has any tickets or a hookup, please let me know, because I'm definitely trying to go to a game sometime this year. So I thank you guys for watching this episode. I do really appreciate it. I will say that if you guys have a friend that is into sports, especially Miami sports, please tell them to like and subscribe, as this is my new venture, and I'm super excited for it. I will also say, for the Miami fans, it has been confirmed that I will be on again at WQAM for post game. So if you guys are in Miami or listen to WQAM, you guys can also find me there, especially during the seasons. It'll be after. So super excited about that, as that's what kind of got me into this venture. So if you guys can, please share this. And also, if you guys are watching this, please make sure to subscribe. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.